Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technology with a new video. Getting a little bit better with this camera setup thing. And this is a new scene. So hopefully you guys like this. I'll be doing or using this type of background going forward. But today's video is going to be on VACLs or VLAN ACLs. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to make sure we can do some enforcement in the layer 2 segment without using things like private VLANs or TrustSec, anything like that. Now, if you don't know anything about private VLANs, I'm going to put something up here, probably going to be over my face, and it's going to show you exactly what private VLANs are, and it's going to give you a demonstration of what the power of private VLANs. So again, it's going to be up here. Just go ahead and watch that video if you're interested in that. If not, stay here so we can learn about some VACLs here. So we're on the board. VACLs is basically is going to allow us to do, layer 3 enforcement at layer 2. Probably doesn't make sense. But what this is basically going to do is we're going to have two, get to the board, and this is VACLs here. All right, and VLAN ACLs. And what we're going to do in the lab is we're going to have our main switch here. So let's just say this is a collapse core, but I'm just going to do switch. And then we're going to have a host here, so user here, user 1, and then user 2. All right. And ultimately, they're going to be in VLAN 100. Now, for the most part here, if you wanted to block traffic between these two users, you would have to use something like microseg or TrustSec or something like that, or maybe an agent-based microsegmentation, right? Or use private VLANs, put one in an isolated VLAN, or put both of the users in an isolated VLAN so they can't talk to each other. Now, the issue with private VLANs is the setup. Most people don't know how to set private VLANs up, nor do they know the concept of private VLANs. Now, VLAN ACLs or VACLs, they don't really give you an added benefit over private VLANs. In fact, private VLANs are probably better than VACLs because you're dealing with an ACL and you have to make sure that the ACL is on every switch, and then you have to make sure it's applied to the same VLAN when you're using VLAN ACLs or VACLs. With private VLANs, you just have to set up your private VLANs everywhere and then assign the port to its respective VLAN, isolated or community. But with this, let's say it's a small, very super small deployment, and you don't want to go through the hassle of creating the private VLANs. Again, you still have to deal with the ACL issue where you can have an expanded ACL if you want to block everything under the sun. But in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to apply an access list at the VLAN level. So move this over here. And we're going to apply an access list to VLAN 100, right? And what we're going to say is user 1, we're going to block all traffic to user 2, okay? So in my example in the lab, we're just going to block ping. We're not going to block everything. But again, you can determine whatever you want to block based on however your ACL is configured. So that's really what VLAN ACLs are. It's just a way to apply, ACLs at the VLAN level and not at a routed port level. All right, so let's go in the lab, and you're gonna have to go to the lab, excuse me, you're gonna go to the lab and you're actually gonna see what that looks like. All right, so we're at the lab here, and as I said before, we have our main switch and we have 2 users. So if we look at the switch configuration here, let me expand it a little bit. And if we just do show VLAN brief, we've got one VLAN. There's VLAN 100, which I call user. I should put S on there for users. And then if we look at, I do have some DHCP here. We go show section IPv6. We have our basic DHCP configurations. Let me expand this just a little bit more. We have our basic VLAN, our DHCP configurations. Now we're going to go focus on the VLAN ACLs or VACL configurations. So VACLs work just like a route map, a typical route map, where we're applying it to layer 2. We're not applying it to layer 3. So the first things first, what you need to do is define the access list. So show IP access list. So our access list that we're doing is right here. So we called it VACL, because that's what I called it. And what we're going to do is we're going to prevent the host 192.168.1.11, and we're going to prevent ICMP going to 192.168.1.12. Now, here's where the issue of the ACL just expanding, because if you don't do subnet to subnet stuff and you want to do host to host, well, depending on how many things are connected to the switch, you're going to have a really large ACL, or you may have a small ACL. It really depends. So once you have the ACL, now we have to apply it to the VACL. The commands that you're going to use is VLAN access map. You give it a name, then you match your ACL just like you would do in a route map. But the difference is you're going to give it an action, right? You're going to give it, it's going to say action. You can do whatever you want from there. Then you have to, just like a route map, do another entry so you don't block everything else, right? Because there's an implicit deny, just like in a route map, right? So let's look at our VACL, our VLAN situation. So here we go. So we did our VLAN access map, VACL 20. That's going to match this ACL. And the action I'm going to take is drop. Okay, I'm going to drop any ICMP traffic. Then we have our next entry below it, and it's the action of forward. So anything that's not ICMP will work perfectly fine, right? In this situation, since I'm not really using a Windows machine or Linux boxes, I can't really demonstrate any other type of traffic flow, but we're definitely going to see ICMP get blocked once we apply it. So now let's go to our users here, user 1 and 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping first, so you see without it being applied, you can ping perfectly fine. So let's do show IP just to validate that we have an IP address. User 1 is 11 and user 2 is 12. So that validates that the ACL. And now when I go to ping 192, 168, 112, working perfectly fine. Ping is working because I haven't applied it. Now to apply your VACL to that level 2, layer 2 domain, what we need to do is we actually need to use the VLAN filter command. We're going to go in here, VLAN filter. Why did I do that? VLAN filter, I think it's VACL, VLAN list, and we're going to just do 100. Okay, excuse me. Now that that's applied, let's go back up. Now that's applied, what that's going to do is that's going to use my VLAN access map and apply it to VLAN 100. Now when we go to ping, instantly stop working, because it's matching that access list that's matching the traffic that's going to be dropped in the VACL at layer 2. Remember, not layer 3. All right, and if we go back up here and we just look at the access list, we should see some hits there. And we do see hits right here. And that is VACLs in a nutshell. If you are studying for your CCNA, CCNP, you're going to need to know that, because they're either going to ask you a question on it, or they may ask you to configure that. So watch this video again if you're studying for your CCNA, CCNP. Watch this video again so you are prepared for your test when they ask you something about VACLs, or they ask you to configure a VACL. If you like videos like this, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. Repost it on your socials. Get more people to come in so I can give this knowledge to, the next generation of network engineers that are coming up in the game. I really appreciate it. Again, this is Don from Padlock Technologies. Thank you, and have a nice day.